And now, his view, an editorial opinion by Bill Martin.
There's lots of talk these days about the people that Donald Trump has picked to run various government departments. It is clear that Trump picks only those who are truly faithful followers, the people who do what he asks without hesitation, the folks who faithfully repeat his vision, especially those who repeat his claims without concern for any limiting factors, things such as truth and sincerity. On the flip side, he instills fear in anyone who has ever opposed him, anyone who has ever challenged his version of the truth. But rather than focus on the obvious, and when I say obvious, I acknowledge that Trump has successfully deceived a very large following. It is clear that a chunk of Americans go about their daily lives with great wads of wool over their eyes. But rather than U.S. politics, did you know that Canada does the same thing? No, we're not as bad, we're worse. While Trump appoints people to key and sensitive and very high-paying jobs, it is built into the system. Each new president is expected to fill these positions. In Canada, we do not have such positions to fill, so our leaders simply create them. They simply hand out jobs, here, there, and everywhere. I remember the day I first learned about patronage in Nova Scotia. It was the day after a provincial election, and the manager of the local liquor commission told me his days were numbered. Why, I asked. He said, well, the government changed, so the new boys will give my job to one of their supporters. You know, it really blew me away. And I remember blurting out, I said to him, I voted for a candidate. I didn't vote for a new liquor store manager. But that's the way it was back then. Remember when each government appointed a highway superintendent in every provincial constituency? Highway workers lined up to show who they voted for so they could get a job. Truck drivers and equipment operators came in two colors, Liberal red and Tory blue. And road work? Well, that was just the tip of the iceberg. Our federal politicians are much more generous. They have higher paying jobs to hand out. And when governments change, the difference between Canada and the U.S. is that we make the appointments in secret. We pretend the jobs are critical and require someone well-versed in government policy. So who gets those critical, high-paying jobs? Well, candidates who fail to get elected are usually high on the list. Big spending supporters are next, and plain old friends of the government are not far behind. That's why a defeated candidate is named president of the Canadian Mint, or Canada Post, or added to the board of the CRTC, or any number of other crown corporations. Those who don't land a cushy job often receive a big government contract under the pretense that their expertise is unique and absolutely necessary. Yes, the patronage train is alive and well in Ottawa. It is the city of consultants and advisors for failed candidates, campaign managers, and election bagmen. As I said, Trump spreads the wealth and the power among his followers, but at least he does it in the open. Canada rewards its own, but because we have a reputation for being kinder, gentler, our leaders do their shameful deeds behind closed doors. Now, I must say that Nova Scotia has made great strides in cleaning up its Patronage Act. Generally speaking, we no longer clean house in government departments like we used to, but we still toss around some higher-paying positions where the chief requirement on the questionnaire is your political affiliation. Now, I say that knowing there isn't really such a question on any employment form. But that's only because your political affiliation is already well known when you are recommended for the job. At least, that's my view. I'm Bill Martin.
You've been listening to His View by Bill Martin. Listen every weekday at noon, 6 p.m., and midnight, right here on Radio from Hope Center.